Alright, I was gonna do a little video of the day of my Mercedes brood pen and the different steps and different stuff I do throughout the year. Throughout the year of this breeding season, I'll be doing different videos, but I'm just gonna do a little video today of stuff I do. I can't think of all of it just right now of stuff I do, so I'll be doing different videos of the broodcocks this year, and I might get some new lines. I use the Mike Ratliff method. It's Mike Ratliff's keep video and stuff he did on his yard, and it's just a little stuff I mix in with that to use. Anyways, this is my Mercedes brood pen, and I'm not saying any of this stuff I do is the right thing to do. I'm just making these videos here to kind of show people who are just getting started or whatever stuff to do to keep their birds healthy and whatnot. But anyways, I guess I'll get started. So anyways, in this pen, it's a 4 or 5 foot square pen. It's 5 foot tall. It's made out of cattle panel. This thing is this pen here is probably 20 years old or even older, and only thing you'll ever have to do to these pens is maybe replace some of the wiring to keep it together, and change. I've had these roosts for a few years, and they're starting to, the color's getting off, but they're all cedar. They're cedar roost, and I use cedar roost because to keep the bugs and bugs off. I don't use 2x4s. I used to, but since you can't really dip your birds in a mallathon or anything during out the winter, so I try keeping everything bug free, and which you can't keep everything bug free, but anyways, it just sort of helps. Anyways, I use milk cartons or just plastic laying boxes, and I put hay in this. I try to change this out once a week or once every 2 weeks, whatever. Try keeping it clean if it's more of a rainy part of the year, which the winter is around here. It rains quite a bit. I try to keep this more clean because mildew and, like I say, bugs can still live in the hay, but they can't live in the box because it's not wood. I guess this is fiberglass. I'm not really sure, but if you are in a place where it rains a lot, try not to put hay in there. It will cause mildew, and it can make your birds sick, and also it will, like I say, cause bugs and other stuff. But anyways, like I said, this is a 4 or 5 foot pen all the way around. I wouldn't say put more than 2 birds in here. At the most 3. I'm not gonna keep but 2 hens in this pen. That hen right there, I'm gonna be taking out, and I'll probably use her for crossing or something else like that. Because I try to, what Mike Ratliff in the video said, try not to keep too many birds in a pen per size of the pen. If you're using a bigger pen, then you can put more hens, but single mating pens, they're kind of small, what I use. But really, I don't do much single mating. I try doing a rooster and 2 hens, or something like that. These are the pens I use. So I had two 10 foot by 4 foot pens. They were made out of the same thing, but I actually cut them in half and made 4 more pens of these right here. And these pens I didn't make. These were my cousin's pens, but he got out of the chicken business, and I kind of started this. I started pretty young. I've been raising them for years, so I have a little experience, but I don't have all the experience. But anyways, like vitamins, I have vitamins in the water. Right now, since I just put these in the brood pen, I think it was Friday. I just barely put them in here. I'm a little later in the year, I'll hang these up right here, and this is what this roost is for. Two things I use this roost for is the hens will sometimes get beat on and picked on, so they won't want to sleep with the other hens. So this right here is just so the hen that's getting beat up or anything, she can stay on this roost. And also the rooster, hens, whatever, whenever they're scratching. See, I just barely changed this out 30 minutes ago and it's already got hay in it. So this kind of keeps it cleaner and stuff like that. And you want to keep your water every day. I would say every day clean out your waters for your brood pen. I change out the waters for my chickens every day, except for on tyke ward. I do that every other day. I use bigger water jugs out there, and it's so hard to do that after when the time changes. So, but anyways, I do them every other day. You want to keep if you can, like I say, change this out every day. That's why I use a half gallon water jug. It hangs on. You can put this anywhere. You can put it inside the pen, wherever. It don't matter. But anyways, I like to hang mine up to just keep all the dirt, hay, whatever gets in there. Because the hens, they're active. The rooster's active. Stuff like that. But right now I'm gonna keep this down here until it takes a little while, because you kind of gotta train them to do it. Not really train them, but you gotta get them. Sometimes it helps. You gotta take that roost down and make them where they can jump on this one for a night, and you just kind of splash water, show it to them, and they'll figure that out. But make sure whenever you're first starting to do that, at least once a day, just put the water down, just in case they haven't figured it out. Make sure they have water. And if a lot of times your older broodcocks that are 8, 9, whatever, however old they are, if they're real old, they won't want to jump on this, so you're probably going to have to keep that there. As you know, they're old and they're just not as active. I don't have any, but there is some stuff that Mike Ratliff's son told me about to keep the fertility in your birds, and I'm gonna have to find some of it. I can't think of the name right now, but it's a water-based oil type substance, and you put it in the water once a week or whatever to increase your fertility in your birds. Whenever I think of the name and get some, I'll make a video on that. Another thing is, if your incubator, this is not a Gilmore hatch, but this was from last year. The Gilmores were in this pen. But get a name tag, not a name tag, just see, all this is a piece of wood, old wood cut, and just drilled a hole in there, wired to the pen. This is not number 6, but this is the second pen, so I'm gonna have to get some alcohol, clean that off. I'll do that today, but clean that off. It's in permanent, and put number 2, because that's the pea heads pin. That's the first pin, second pin. I think I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I think I got 12 of these pins, so this will be the second one, and I'll put Mercedes hatch number 2. And that's so whenever you're using your incubator, you can grab your eggs out of here every day and say this one is number 2, so you'd put number 2 on the egg, and then that's way you keep them from whenever you're about to in the incubator. On day 18, you want to put the eggs into a hatcher tray, and that keeps them separated, so whenever you're marking them, you can tell later on which is which or whatever. And, I'm gonna not use the I'm gonna try not to use the incubator this year, because that's what in the Mike Ratliff video it said not to use the incubator. So if I can keep from it, I'm not gonna use it. I'm gonna try doing all hen hatch naturally, and the stuff that in the video it told me to do. But if I have to, and I'm not getting any success out of it, I might use the incubator. And then if I do, I'll show you how to use it. I got an incubator and a hatcher. I got a big incubator and a big hatcher. I used it last year, but like I said, this year I'm gonna try not to. Whenever it starts to get colder here, tends not to get colder here. I live in Giddings, Texas. It's right in the middle of Austin, Houston. But it don't get too cold here. At the most, we've only had snow twice since I've been young. Usually it don't get too cold. What I'll do is, since the north wind blows in this way, I'll put like a little tarp, not a tarp, but like a piece of plastic or something, just to kind of block the wind from the north side. You can put it all the way around your pen, whatever. I just use it to block the north wind because that's the cold wind that they get, and it kind of blocks the rain from coming in. I just usually put it right over the roost, and I leave the bottom open. I don't do too much of that. I think they enjoy the cold weather, but it's just kind of a thing to keep them a little more comfortable when they're sleeping at night. And like I say, it don't get too cold here. At the most, I think the coldest it's ever got here was 20 degrees, and that was quite a ways back. And that was at night. During the day, the coldest part, it's about maybe 40 degrees. Right now, and the weather changes so often. Some days will be 80 degrees during the winter. Some days will be 40. It changes quite a bit. I'll try doing a video of how to wing band them. Like I say, once I get this hen out, I'm gonna wing band them all first and get that hen out. That littler hen, she's little, and I'll probably use her for crossing or whatever, but I'll keep them two bigger ones in here. But anyways, that tray right there is for whenever I'm feeding. I feed them as much as they can eat into a bowl, and that also can help you from not feeding it on the ground. If your ground's wet, you don't want to feed them in wet ground, because that can cause your chickens to get sick, getting wet feed. Corn, if you're just feeding scratch, which I do not suggest feeding just scratch, but if that's what you're feeding, that will not hurt them. But like laying pellets, that can get them sick if it gets wet and moldy. And if you can keep from that, use a bowl. You can use these. I use these because I use these as stag pens whenever I'm not breeding, because I don't breed all year round, just not much past April, but this is when I started. It's October now, but I use this for the stags whenever I feed like worm them. I can put that in there so they can get all their wormer. What else can I go over? Oh yeah, try to if you can, keep their spurs cut on your birds. Right now his aren't cut, because I don't mess with my birds when they're molting. I don't spar them. I try pretty much not even to touch them while they're molting, just because they're in pain while they're molting. So that's why their spurs are not cut now. Other than that, they're cut. And I'm gonna order some saw blades I use Wood Enterprises. If you want to order anything, go to Wood Enterprises. They got it all. But there's a lot of different places to order from. Bell Farm. That's really the two places I've ordered from. Bell Farm and Wood Enterprises. Mostly Wood Enterprises I use to order my stuff from. But anyways, you can buy these hang-on water jugs at Wood Enterprises. They're half-gallon. I use them because it's much easier to just dump out every day and clean, other than if you're using a 5-gallon water or whatever you're using. You can buy these. You can even buy them there. You can buy them at feed stores anyway. But anyways, something that else is good for your birds. Let me get some. Them are all my older stags out there. I had to put a electric fence up to keep the dogs from. I got 2 Great Pyrenees pups, and they're young, and they like to sometimes mess with chickens and mess with the feathers. So I had to put that electric fence until they get a little more mature or whatnot. But them are all the older stags out there on Tycord. But anyways, grit is a something. If you can use grit, or not grit, this is oyster shells. They won't eat it. Just try keeping it in their pen. Mix it in your feed just so if they need it, they got it. They won't usually eat it unless they have to, and it just keeps them so whenever they're grounding your food in their craw, that kind of helps it to grind the feed. Or you can use this is oyster shells. I got it wrong. This is oyster shells. Another thing you can use is chick grit. If you're using that, just pour some in one of these and just all the time keep it there so if they need it, they got it. That's a real good thing to do. I'll show you my feed that I feed. I feed this to everything. But I'm gonna show you, if you're feeding a different feed than me, how to get your hens to lay. There's the dog food. Let me grab some out here. Anyways, what I feed is 2 parts laying pellets. I'm just gonna put it here. It's 2 parts laying pellets. So you use, if you're using this is the micro lift what he used. It's 1 part racing horse oats, 1 part Milo, 1 part oat groats, 2 parts laying pellets, and 1 part cracked corn, and it's a mixture. And you feed this to your hens, which I'm just going to go ahead and throw this in here. And this is another reason why I like this rooster. That's a good sign. When the rooster lets his hens eat first, that's something you really want. If you can pick that out of a rooster, that's a good thing to do. He lets his hens eat first. He calls them and talks to them. Yeah, but I'll try making a video of kind of what to look for in a broodcock throughout using the Mike Ratliff video of the way he uses to pick out his broodcock and broodfowl. I'll probably have to do that another day. See, this rooster, he's real gentle. He's a real gentle rooster. I like him. But anyways, that's kind of a starter step of kind of a little bit of stuff I do. Like I said, throughout the year, I'll be making videos of all the stuff I do. It's kind of hard for me to make any videos on the weekdays, but on the weekends, that's kind of when I have time to make them. Like I say, I try to water every day, and I got quite a few, so it's kind of hard to make videos when the time changes like this. But anyways, that's about it.